why it is necessary to unlearn before one can truly begin to learn. What is good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another SK Wealth Academy podcast. Why it is necessary to unlearn before we can begin to learn. Now, this particular podcast, although it is important, serves more as a primer to my next two podcasts, which deal with Stop Asian Hate, and the second one deals with why building a worse mousetrap actually reaps far more rewards for the big global conglomerate corporation. So part of the reason I wanted to make this kind of primer, very short primer, I'm going to try to keep it to 8 or 9 minutes total for my next two podcasts, is just because I've encountered so many people over the years, whether I'm talking about finance, whether I'm talking about the economic lockdowns as a result of the COVID. So hopefully, since I don't say the entire word, this video won't get automatically demonetized. But it doesn't really matter actually at this point, because it's not, I make like 3 cents per video, so it doesn't really matter to me if it does or not. But the reason being is that so many people, I've encountered so many people that are married to their beliefs, and when I dig deeply, like, there's no problem with being married to your beliefs if you've done an immense amount of research into those beliefs and you are far more educated about this topic than I am, because obviously I'm not right about everything that I think, but I'm not going to hold a very strong belief personally unless I've done an immense amount of research about a topic. So, in dealing with this VI, Russ, that I have a background, as far as academic background in university, from an Ivy League university in virology, biology, and my major in neurobiology. And of course, that Ivy League university degree, academic diploma, is not really worth anything because it doesn't help me to critically think. But again, the only reason I mention that is because people think it has some kind of clout when determining who I should listen to and who I should not. It shouldn't really matter if I went to a community college. If I'm a smart person, I can learn just as much about virology and biology, neurobiology, vaccines going to a community college than to a so-called elite university. So that should be totally irrelevant to the equation. But sometimes it's kind of sad that I have to mention it just so people will listen to what I have to say. And secondly, the whole reason I am making this kind of primer is that even, when talking about topics of finance, investing, I find that a lot of people have super strong opinions only from listening to the mass media, or like a new, financial news report, which is just ridiculous, because just like people say, hey, we live in the greatest age of information ever. Everybody has access to this massive wealth of information at their fingertips. It's like people say that they don't understand the difference between having access to information and having access to high value information, because there's a huge difference. The information returned by search engines like Google, or even search engines like DuckDuckGo, which a lot of people use, or Startpage, or other, or Brave, or other alternative browsers, to try to avoid not only, having your computer infested with spying activities and your battery drained, because all these different applications are draining your battery by constantly recording all of your internet activity and then marketing and selling it to other people that want to purchase this behavior about your online internet usage patterns from search engines like Google, or even financial firms like Robinhood sell all their data for what all their users do, as far as all the trades they're making, to other big brokerage firms. Now, the problem with believing that just because we have access that we're more educated, I think actually all this information has made society in general far dumber and more moronic than ever, because I see this type of moronic thinking far more than I ever did when I was a kid. And in fact, I can now meet homeschool kids that are 10 years old that are more intelligent as far as critical thinking skills are concerned than a Harvard University or Oxford University graduate. And those are just facts. And so what the reason I'm making this again is because just like people, just like when we consider, say, the realm of pharmaceutical drugs or just drugs in general, there are good drugs and there are bad drugs. A good drug would be something like ampicillin or penicillin, amoxicillin, antibiotic drugs that really have saved human beings over the past several decades. Lots of suffering from easily curable diseases if you take antibiotics. But the downside of that is the pharmaceutical industry that pushes antibiotic drugs and medication and prescription drugs for everything that have now resulted in viruses that are called like super resistant to antibiotics. And antibiotics don't cure them because antibiotics have been overprescribed. But that's not even what I'm talking about. That's just bad usage, right, of drugs. But I'm talking about bad, there's good drugs like the ones I just mentioned, and bad drugs like OxyContin or heroin, right? Because nearly a 250,000 people have overdosed from opioids in America in the last, so I think from 1999 to 2019, so in the last 2 decades. And that is just horrific. So people don't understand, information is exactly the same. There's all these morons out there that are saying, oh, I want to know the truth. I just Google it. And whatever Google tells me to believe, I'm going to believe, even though there's a documentary out there called The Creepy Line, which I highly recommend you watch. I think it's actually up on YouTube, and as Google is the owners of YouTube, I'm shocked that they haven't taken it down. So watch it while you can. It's called The Creepy Line because Eric Schmidt said he wants to become like God and tell people, everyone, what they should believe and only have Google search engines return one correct answer for every question. And we all know how absurd that is because for many questions, there is no answer for a lot of questions, especially in scientific realms. Anything that's a theory has not been proven beyond an indisputable doubt, and there's not overwhelming amount of facts to prove it. That's why it's a theory. So if someone asks, hey, is this scientific theory true or not? Eric Schmidt wants to tell you whether it's true or not, even though it's yet to be decided. So he doesn't want any type of dissenting opinion to any of his own personal beliefs or any beliefs of the people of Google or the general, maybe bigger but very, very small population of oligarchs out there that want to direct and influence what we believe about every single topic about for which we search answers on the internet, which is just ridiculous. So you should immediately stop listening to any podcaster that's continually flaunts Googling everything for all their answers, for all the information that they propose and forward on their podcast. Now, the other reason I'm also making this podcast is because a lot of us are married to our beliefs because of ego. Because in martial arts, right, we are taught to lose our ego. And my martial arts training actually has been probably, I would rate it as more essential to my progression of critical thinking skills than my academic background at the University of Pennsylvania, or even to my 2 master degrees, my master in business administration, my master in public policy. I would rate that above my 2 master degrees, above my university education when it comes to forwarding my critical thinking skills. Why would I rank martial arts training? Because we're taught to lose ego. We're taught that if we give in to our ego and emotions, that we're not going to be able to execute our martial arts techniques and properly defend ourselves in a life or death situation. Or even worse, we're going to allow fear, which bubbles up from ego-driven emotion, to paralyze us and not allow us to defend ourselves or to defend a loved one properly. So that is why it is so important to understand the basic concept of unlearning, because the framework in which we learn things, if we attended the traditional form of academics in university and college, all came from the Prussian model of education. If you don't even know, if you think Prussia is Russia, and you don't even understand what the Prussian Empire is, and you don't understand their education model, then you really have very little understanding of the education model that's used, because this was the one adopted in the United States and spread to the rest of the world. You don't understand what kind of massive holes in critical thinking you most likely have if you have not been extremely diligent and aggressive about your self-education outside of the traditional forms of education. That's the only possible way you could be a critical thinker, is if you've been extremely aggressive and extremely diligent about your self-education pursuits, completely separate from your educational pursuits within the realm of traditional forums of academics. So that is what I wanted to say. Actually, it's become a little longer. We're 10 minutes, 10 and a half minutes. So I wanted to end it now. But please do return for my next two podcasts. One in which I speak about the rise of Asian hate crimes and my Dave Chappelle Africa moment, and why this was so important to my understanding of the solution to quell and squash the animosity, not only between races, between the Black and Asian community, between the white and Asian community, but also there's a lot of animosity even among races, among the Black community, between light skin and black skin, blacks between blacks from Jamaica and blacks that were born in America, blacks from Africa, from Nigeria, and other Black Americans that were born in America. It's just ludicrous. It's absurd. We have to stop this. There's a lot of animosity between Asians. Some Asians look down upon other Asians. It's like if you're Japanese, Korean, or Chinese, some people think, oh, you know what, we're atop the Asian pyramid, and then they look down on people who are from Southeast Asia. I've seen this time and time again. It's the undeveloped, uncritical mindset of a child. So I don't care if you're 40 years old, you still think like a child if this is the way you think. And also, if you can't even criticize anyone of your own community, whether it's race, someone in your community that's Black, if you're Black, that's completely wrong. Someone in your community that's Asian, if you're Asian, that's completely wrong. Someone of your same religion, that's Christian or Muslim, if what they're saying is completely wrong, a lot of people will zip their mouths and not want to rock the boat, even though they know that some people within their community are saying and doing things that are morally unacceptable, that are ethically unacceptable, and they will keep silent. So we have to stop this. So that wraps it up. Comment below, let me know what you think, and as always, remain intensely curious. And if you want to support me, you can do so by becoming a patron at a paltry sum of $5 a month. You get so much extra bonus content every single week and every single month. And if you are also someone that's interested in gold and silver assets and accumulating physical mining stocks, if you want to know what the best, my opinion of the best mining stocks in the world are, then become a Patreon for just $5 a month and $10 a month if you really want to get the full scoop. So that's all for now. Thanks so much for watching. Have a beautiful day and a beautiful night, and bless up to everyone watching this video. Take care.